You're saying we have nothing
shaking
to hide.
container here.
Right.
And it is loose leaf. Normally, you'll have the tea bag, and it's inside a box of 20 or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Open it up, put it in your water. But you brought not only the clear containers, but you also brought like a tea maker, or what would you call this?
It's called a gravity teapot. But basically, it's an interesting vehicle to make tea. Right. So instead of the traditional way of getting a tea kettle and boiling the water and then putting it into a teapot and going through that whole ceremony, this is an easy alternative to make tea. All you have to do is put that on top of a cup, and it trickles down automatically.
So inside this, you would put the loose leaf, you put the tea.
Yep.
Then you put your hot water.
Yep.
You put it on your cup after about 3-5 minutes or something
Depends
like that.
on the tea. Yep.
Okay. Then you just stick it on top of your cup, and boom, it drains right into the cup.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
What we're going to do for our listeners who are listening via, doesn't matter, but we're going to post it up on our website. We'll take some photos so you can kind of imagine it, and I'll be there drinking some nice tea with Mr. Lee. Cool. That's really cool. So, okay, you got inspired in England. You started doing your research. 1,500 names eventually came up with a great one, Tavalon, and then you tried to rebrand it so it's not just for the sickly. It's not just when they want to go to bed, but it's for everybody.
Right.
Then, was there anything? I mean, you drank boricha as a child in a Korean American household, barley tea, but was there any one point where you just were really inspired about tea, or could it have been anything?
Honestly, it would have been anything. It's just that I happened to come across this void in the market that I thought that I could fulfill with good marketing, good quality product, and good branding. So, and it's also about what is and is not being done in the tea market. So, for example, if Isaac, I found out that you do not drink tea, I'm not going to sit here and continue to pitch to you a hot cup of tea or a iced cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's been done for centuries, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to say, I'm a coffee drinker, and I'm going to stay that way.
Yeah.
Well, there's different angles I can have you appreciate tea, especially our tea.
Yeah.
Right? So if I found out that you enjoy a cocktail once in a while, then there's my answer. Now we have an alcohol-infused tea cocktail. We have about 25 recipes.
A tea cocktail?
Tea cocktails, exactly. So as an example, we have green tea martinis, emphasis on the TEA. We have chai martinis. We have mimosa teas that we make with champagne.
Wow.
Instead of a mojito, we have a green tea-based motijo that we make.
Wow.
For Koreans, we have soju teenies. Right? We have sake teenies. And so that's the fun part, right? Now that brings out the social, but especially Koreans love to drink, right?
Do you market directly to places that sell alcohol, or is this something you can actually buy a drink itself, or is it the tea plus the alcohol separately and you have to sell the recipe? How does that happen?
Right, so it's tea plus the alcohol. We usually partner up with spirit companies, work with Absolute 100, we work with Moet Hennessy, and it's about caterings and events. We did the Grammy Awards.
Wow.
We did the MTV VMAs and
Cool.
And yeah. So that's where we have an opportunity to showcase something fresh and different. And celebrities love to have what other people can't have, right? And that's really the starting point. In Korea, we're actually looking to open up a store, a tea bar, where we're going to actually have all of our tea cocktails present.
Nice. That's really nice. So it could have been anything. But it happened to be tea. You found the niche. But what about that drive? You got to the point where, hey, I need to do something. I've probably got some ideas. Then you found it. But there's that the straw that broke the camel's back. But there's the pressure up to that point. Right. What was that pressure and the breaking point, or the something that released you?
Right. Well, so I started working for Accenture straight out of college.
Okay.
And I really wasn't cut out to work within the 9 to 5. It was actually 9 to 9, but the corporate rat race just wasn't for me. So I was always looking for that way out and struggling. Every night, what am I going to do with my life? 4.5 years went by. I was 26, and I actually had an opportunity to sit down with one of my partners at Accenture, and he sat me down and said, "John Paul, you don't look like somebody who is cut out for." Just working within a rat race. And I'll tell you why. You remind me of me when I was 25.
Ooh.
And he was a 45-year-old gentleman, very smart individual.
Still pretty young, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Very young, very successful. He's a great guy. But basically, he's like, listen, when I was your age, I wanted to have my own company as well, but didn't know exactly what it was. A couple of years went by. Then I got married.
Yeah.
Then I had somebody to take care of.
Yep.
I lost a little bit of my confidence. And then I had commitments, responsibilities. Yeah. And then the children came along, and that was it. He's like, he could never turn back.
Don't want to take the risk.
Right.
Yeah.
The risk was too much for him.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there hearing his story on the other side of the table saying, I never, ever want to be in this position 20 years down the road saying the same story to somebody else.
Yep.
And so the very next day, I ended up quitting my job.
Wow.
I said, thank you very much. He's actually a good mentor of mine now.
That's great.
And that's what it was. And basically went back to the States and pitched the idea to my business partner, who was a corporate attorney at the time.
Okay.
And I was like, listen, you don't want to be an attorney for the rest of your life. I don't want to be a consultant for the rest of my life. Let's do something about it. We're 26 now.
Yeah.
If we start, if we fail, it was a very expensive business school, right? And we can write it off as that. And if we succeed, then we're doing what we love. Yeah.
Cool. Well, speaking about age, if I may, even though there is discrimination in the States, it's less of an issue than in certain places. Hopefully you didn't go through that much, but young guy starting a business, you know, even as a consultant, I'm sure you kind of ran into a certain ceiling. I don't know if it's a glass ceiling or what kind of ceiling, but you must have, when you, as your own founder and CEO, have hit some walls because you're young. I mean, you still seem pretty young guy, you know, sound young. I guess with the MTV, it would be, sure, more appealing, but when it comes to like a more well-established places, was there some, you know, walls you came up against?
Absolutely. You know, I came across that as soon as I got out of college.
Yeah.
Going into Accenture again as a consultant, you know, you're thrown into situations when you're dealing with people twice your age. And, you know, I heard it all the time. You know, we're going in to consult, we're going in with ideas, and they're looking at you basically saying, I've been in business longer than you've been alive. What can you possibly offer? Right?
Yeah.
So that was an obstacle and hurdle that I've come across for many, many years, not just, you know, working as an entrepreneur, but even in my consulting days. And, you know, going into, you know, simple things as trying to get a lease for our T-bar in Manhattan. You can imagine I wanted to be in the best place, in the best location. So we went to Union Square and went to the landlord. I was like, hey, listen, here's my concept. Here's my business. Hear me out. And he's like, what are you, just out of high school? You know? and so that's these are definitely things that I had to learn from and grow from and definitely appreciate now.
School of Hard Knocks.